By the wayside.
When they try to test your faith. Hey, Lord. What you gonna do when your back's against the wall? How you gonna respond when it seems the hope is lost? Tell me what you gonna do when you need
fall by the wayside.
When they try to test your faith. Hey, Lord.
wayside.
Fine when they try to test your faith. Hey, Lord. Hey.
Welcome to
Hello.
New Breed Fellowship. This is Pastor Sylvia and Elder Mark. We are here to do a table talk today, y'all. Heart talk. And we have been working on trying to get some microphones hooked up to our broadcast. It's challenging, but we think we finally got it all together. And we actually, last time I think we tried to use a microphone, we lost the camera. So we are here to do some hard talk today, putting it on the table or put it on the table. Let's be real about what we deal with in our heart. And as you can see, the title there is Let's Disagree. And I did put in the comments, join in the conversation and type your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear how this topic impacts your daily life. How do you handle disagreement in your day-to-day life? So let's be real and talk today about how we handle disagreement in our day-to-day life. Let's disagree to agree. And that's the part I didn't put on there, but let's disagree to agree. And so, again, we are Pastor Sylvia and Mark Reindock. We are here to have heart talk today and give you an encouraging word. But we want you to join in on this conversation with us today. We want to hear your heart. And the question is, how do you feel when somebody disagrees with you? That is the question today. How do you feel?
How much time do you have?
Today's heart talk. Let's disagree. And I don't know if I did a banner for that one, but how do you feel when somebody disagrees with you? I don't think I did a banner for that, but that should be a banner. How do you feel when somebody disagrees with you? I don't feel good, but let's pray. God, we pray in the name of Jesus, and we thank you for being able to sit here and to have this conversation regarding what we deal with in our heart, especially when it comes to disagreement. We pray that we're able to somehow encourage somebody, help somebody today in that place, or even ourselves, because we had a disagreement on the way here, but help even us when we disagree to agree. And so we pray this and we thank you in Jesus' name, amen. So we didn't do the little cover up. We do a little cover up on our little number of people that's joining us because we don't want to get distracted. So we do a little cover up. Anyway, today's heart talk, let's disagree. How do you feel? And I didn't make that a question, but how do you feel when somebody disagrees with you? I know I don't feel good. And like I said, we had a disagreement on the way here this morning.
So you think about it, it's okay to disagree with somebody. But I feel, in how our relationship is that we have two people that are strong-willed. And so I think when you have that playing along, nobody wants to be wrong. So everybody wants to be right. And so therefore, of course, that's just my opinion. My wife's not saying nothing. You're going to have disagreements. So when you have two different people, and we're just talking about two different people right now. When you have a bunch of people, but as currently talking about two different people,
usually husband and wife,
you're going to have disagreements because as we all know, whether you're married for a year, 25, 50, 75, whatever,
you're going to have disagreements.
You're going to have disagreements.
So let me just go here. So I looked up the definition of these words. So agreement, the act of coming to mutual decision.
Yeah.
The synonyms are understanding. I like that synonym because the Bible says, and all you're getting, I believe it's in Proverbs,
I understand.
and all you're getting, get understanding.
Yeah.
And I love Stephen Covey's quote that says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. But I like that synonym, understanding. Agreement is understanding. It's a contract. It's a settlement. It's a bargain. It's a bond. It's accord. Being on one accord. I know the Bible says something about being on one accord. It's a pact. It's an arrangement. So that's the definition of the word agreement.
Yeah.
From the internet.
Yeah.
And then the word disagreement and argument.
Yeah.
Like we had an argument on the way here, y'all.
Or a situation.
Or a situation which people do not have, listen to this, the same opinion. And some synonyms are animosity, because disagreement thing. How do you feel when people disagree with you? How do you feel when someone disagree with you? How do you feel when you disagree with something? Antagonism,
yeah,
bickering, conflict, controversy, and clash.
Yeah.
Disagreement. Now, I'm reading a book on conflict, balancing conflict in your life. And the lady in the book says, how about we look at conflict as a partner instead of an enemy? Because we look at conflict. Nobody likes to be in conflict. Nobody likes to have to confront, because 9 times out of 10, confront is going to mean there's going to be some conflict.
Yeah.
And so who likes to feel conflict? Nobody. But the question today is putting it on the table and dealing with the matters and the issues of our heart. Think about this, y'all, because 9 times out of 10, when we do have disagreement, it's usually the people that we're closest to or we're living with, that's in our family, that we have disagreement with. But we know the world that we're living in right now, disagreement is happening everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Mary says, I read something today which spoke about trusting in God, not in our own understanding. I find this helpful. Yes, trusting in God. Like, we misunderstand each other all the time. We do. We misunderstand. And the Bible, again, says, get understanding. And Mary says she read something about trusting in God, not in our own understanding. And the Bible also says, lean not to your own understanding. Lean in all your what does it say?
Ways,
acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Mary, I think that's kind of where that goes. I don't know if that was a verse that was referenced, but trusting in God, not in our own understanding, leaning not to our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledging him, and he will direct our path. Because we try to understand why this person is not agreeing with me, and it's basically as the synonym or the definition says, an argument or a situation which people do not have the same opinion. It's usually 9 times out of 10, it's our opinion of how we feel about something. And that person is not in agreement with our opinion. So it causes a disagreement, and it causes an argument. It causes, feelings of animosity. Come on, let's be real.
So
it happens all the time.
So the biggest thing is that when we have these table talks, we are, we're here to talk about God's word, but we want to be sure the stuff that's real. That's why it's called table talk and heart talk, because it affects our daily lives. It affects the way you live and the way you act and the way. So we don't just do this just to do and say, well, it's nice to sit here for X how many times we check the box. We believe that we try to do this just to help people that watch it and
help ourselves.
Let people know that what we deal with. So if anything, when we talk about ourselves to help out the people that are watching,
and trying to keep it real, because we say this, we are real people, and we have real lives, and we will deal with real issues, real deal with day-to-day things happening in our lives, and those are real issues. And we believe Heart Talk put it on the table. I should change it to putting it on the table. That it's dealing with the matters and the issues of our heart, because that's where we do deal with things in our heart. We deal with things in our heart. And so this is what Heart Talk is about. So let's disagree to agree. But the title is Let's Disagree, because everybody's doing it. We know that in the world we live in, especially when you look at the news and the social media and all that's going on with that there is a lot of disagreement.
Yeah.
And unfortunately and sadly, there's this I say it's a spirit that's operating right now, where people are doing what they call canceling people because they don't agree with them. And so thank you. You're welcome, Mary. But they don't agree. I don't have the same opinion as this person or that person, vice versa. And because of that, people are getting very angry.
Yeah.
And this, want to cancel people, sadly, want to hurt people, but where would we be if we disagree? Let's see, we agreed to disagree. That's what I'm trying to say. I said, let's disagree to agree. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's disagree to agree that we don't agree. How's that? Let's disagree to agree we don't agree on this. He and I was having a argument over some ducks in our yard this morning on the way here. And we don't agree about these ducks being in our yard. And so we are having a hard argument. Let's keep it real. On the way here to do this. Now, that's how real we need to be sometimes, and so we would get embarrassed because we're like, well, people are going to think that, we so perfect, we don't ever disagree. Well, we know, and those that are married, y'all know that you have disagreement over some of the most unimportant things, foolish things, little things, but even sometimes in our extended family with our children and our parents and our siblings and other relatives, we can have some really unimportant. I mean, when it comes to our relationship, how important is that to our relationship? And so you agree to you let us disagree to agree that we don't agree on this and move on. I mean, but what we do find ourselves doing is holding on to that disagreement and holding it against that person. And as I'm talking this and letting this come out of my mouth, I'm talking to myself, because, okay, we don't agree. We agree to disagree. And then what happens, though, is we hold on to it again. I said, we hold on to it and we let that cause ill feelings between us and that person, to the point where we know what's happening in the world today. People are, again, canceling people. That means if you are a celebrity out there, a well-known figure, people are trying to say, well, don't have anything to do with that person anymore. Let's squash them in their life and everything that they've ever done, because they don't agree with me or us, or going to people's house, with the politicians and the judges and all, going to their house and just picketing, and because you don't agree with this person, like the person doesn't have a right to disagree with you, regardless of who you are. It's like people are saying, you don't have a right to disagree with me. And so because you do that, I'm going to hate you. I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to do everything I can to make your life miserable. That is so wrong. That is very, very wrong. And it's like, it's a spirit, I say, that's operating in our society right now, in our world. And it's very, very sad, extremely, extremely sad that that's where we are in the world that we live in right now. But We looked at the definition of agreement, disagreement, and then I also looked at the word opinion, because when it talked about disagreement, it's saying it's an argument or a situation in which people do not have the same opinion.
No.
And so then when I looked at the word opinion, it says opinion, a view or judgment formed about something, not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. And some of the synonyms are feelings, your feeling or feelings, your attitude, your impression, your idea, your assumption, your conclusion. So our opinions are personal. And yes, we may have a group of people that are of the same opinion, right? We may have a group of people that are of the same opinion we have, and so that is of your opinion. They agree with you.
My feeling like about an opinion. So, like we're talking about disagreement and agreement. So, Mark's feeling is where we start, where the seed may start growing is, we don't disagree with their opinion, and then basically, as Sylvia was saying, that's just a way of I guess that's just a nice way of saying, well, fine, that's your opinion, and you really never get down to the root of what you're really disagreeing with. Like if you say, it's easy as saying tomato and tomato. Well, you say, well, that's your opinion on how you say that. You can actually, what did they say? You can kill a horse just by saying the same thing over and over and over. But then you're not getting anywhere, because that's your opinion. Everybody has a right to opinion, but the thing is, eventually somebody's got to honestly be the better person and say, okay, fine, because you can get tired over talking about stuff that is really not necessary. But just like we talked about, your feeling, your attitude, your impression, your idea, your assumption,
But do you just say, okay, we agree to disagree? Is that what you're saying here, that we agree to disagree? Or are you saying that we need to go deeper as to why you don't agree with me? I'm trying to.
I think you need to go deeper, because I think that's a nice way of saying, well, that's your opinion.
So if you go deeper, though,
so you really never, I feel like you never get to the root of what's going on.
So, but in this case,
I'll just say the duck situation, or you say, well, that's your opinion of what the ducks are. So, and so trying to squash the disagreement or the argument, I may say, well, that's your opinion. That's your feeling, your attitude, your impression, your idea, your assumption, conclusion. Mm-hmm. So I feel to stop the argument, either or, you can say, well, that's your opinion. And I feel that you can, you ever hear the saying where you try to get blood out of a rock, like it's not going to happen, but you can try so hard to do something, and then that's where you're almost better off to say, okay, fine, that's your opinion, and let it go, because it'll just eat yourself. It'll just keep on, you're not getting to the root of what is the disagreement. The agree or disagree is.
So what I think I hear you saying is that you would rather get to the root than just say we disagree, so we agree to disagree and move on with how we feel about this. That's what I think I hear you saying, versus
I guess what I'm saying
you're like, you want to go to the root as to why you disagree about something.
Well, I believe, especially in a relationship, you need to find out what the root is to take care of that situation.
But I think it depends on what I think. My opinion is that it depends on what the disagreement is about. It depends on what the disagreement is about, right, as to why you need to go farther. Now, if it's something that is really like something that is in somebody's our relationship or anybody's relationship that is really causing animosity and hate, then you need to go to the root. But if it's an opinion of well, I think the Ducks should stay and I think the Ducks should go, then I don't think that, if it's not causing us, like for instance, we were on the way here arguing about these Ducks, then if we would have got here and say, forget it, we're not doing the broadcast, and we couldn't sit here and still do the broadcast, then we got an issue where we need to go deeper with this disagreement, rather than let it just say, well, that's your opinion, that's my opinion. So if it prevents and gets in our heart where it's going to cause us in our relationship not to function in our relationship in a good and healthy way, then yes, we need to go deeper. But when we disagree, because that's your opinion, that's my opinion, then we still able to move on. Then we agree to disagree and move on. But what's happening, what I would like to see is, like, when people disagree, and if it's just our opinion about something that's not causing the relationship to be cut off or severed or divided, or I mean, I guess I want to say cut off and severed. That's the word I think I want to use. Or be unhealthy, or there's animosity and hate, or you want to hurt somebody and cancel them or make their lives miserable, then that's where you need to go to the root, because it's not just a disagreement. It is something that's gotten rooted in your heart. And that looks to me and sounds like to me like it becomes hate, because that's that word animosity. It becomes hate to the point where you are going to do whatever you can to either stay away from that person, to separate yourself from that person, or to hurt them, or you like I say, separate them or to hurt them. So that's where I believe you need to go deeper when it's more than an opinion. You see, that's what I am getting out of this. Am I wrong or right, or what am I saying here?
Okay, let's move on.
No, I'm serious. Like, we need to talk about this. Like, and I like people in the watching this live or even watch it later to share. How do you feel when someone disagrees with you? How do you handle disagreement in your day-to-day life? How do you feel when somebody disagrees with you? I'm going to go ahead and type that in. How do you feel? What kind of feelings come up in you when somebody disagree with you? And that's where we're going with this today. Let's disagree, because that's something we need to deal with. Someone, I'm trying to type, y'all. Disagrees with you. I mean, it's okay that you are saying, okay, let's get to the root. But to me, like, when you get to the root, it's because the root is causing some things to happen. So some things to be happening in you. But if it's just a matter of opinions, different opinions, and it's not causing something to happen in you, then let's just agree to disagree and move on. I didn't mean to hit that. I meant to do this here. But put a question mark there. That's where I see this going. And did you have any more comments on that, Elder?
No. Good.
But I do. I want people to join in. We want people to join in and have this conversation on how do you feel when someone disagrees with you. And it's a topic that we all can relate to, because who hasn't had somebody disagree with you about something that, again, like I said, thank you, Mary, for continuing to join in here. Let's see. She says, Mary says, I feel if you only say, well, that is your opinion, and not go deeper, all those little leftover arguments can fill your heart with negativity. And this makes sense. And she said, we're breaking up. I don't know. So it must be our sound was breaking up. I don't think that was a part of the rest of your comments. Maybe because I was getting too close. I don't know. To the microphone, and I was trying to type. But she says, I feel if you only say, well, that's your opinion and not go deeper, all those leftover, little leftover arguments can fill your heart with negativity. If this makes sense. Yes, I agree with that too. Okay, technology issue. Are we still breaking up? Are you saying we're still breaking up? If this makes sense. Yes, I agree. Okay, so I'm on my phone. Mark's on this. We're just trying to, maybe we need to get off our phone. But we
So
want
Mary, I definitely agree with you, because that's I think that's a nice way of saying, well, that's your opinion, and you're not, and you don't go deeper, and then you let the little things in your heart, and that's what causes negativity. That's where you just want to, I feel like, shut down and not even discuss that. And I think that's what you hide behind going forward with any situation.
And see, I agreed that yes, you don't want those little leftover things to build up. And so, if it's not something that is causing, like if you say it's your opinion, you let it go, yes, you move on. That's your opinion. But if you're still holding on to it and you're not really being honest when you say that's your opinion, then yes, it's going to be one more little thing that builds up and builds up and builds up and then causes the negativity, animosity, whatever it is. And so if that disagreement is really eating you up and you're saying, I'm going to get off of Facebook because I don't know, Mary, if we're still, she said our sound wasn't coming in that well. It was like every fourth word. And thanks, Mary. Keep us up to date. If I don't know if it gotten better. I just went off of Facebook. But if those little things are causing you to hold stuff in your heart, that's the point that I want to make. That yes, I agree with you. Then it needs to be dealt with. It needs not to be brushed off as this is my opinion. I'm just going to move on. So if you, again, I can't say it enough. If you can't let it go, then yes, you need to go deeper. It's not just a disagreement.
Well, it's like what they say, you can't just put a Band-Aid on it. You have to go deeper. You know what I'm trying to say is like you can't just put a Band-Aid on that problem because then the sore or whatever you're covering up won't get healed. If you just try to you just throw a little cover on it, you're not taking care of what is actually underneath.
So it sounds like you are saying that. Are you saying any disagreement is something that you need to go deeper with? Is that what you're saying? Because I'm of two opinions here. I'm of two opinions. And then Mary says, yeah, I can't really make fully what you two. So that's our sound. I can't make fully what you are saying due to technology, just to let you know. Well, thank you, Mary. It could be
Could be the microphones that we're trying to use.
yeah, that we're trying to use. I'll turn one of them off. So I don't know if that, let me know if that made it better, Mary. I just turned mine off and we got one going, but I'm happy that we were able to do two microphones, but sound like it's causing a sound issue. But again, I think it's popping up on the screen, our words. Mm-hmm. And so right now, that's all we can give you right now. I did take turn one of the microphones off, but I'm of two opinions. And one is that if the disagreement is not something that you're gonna hold in your heart, or you are holding your heart and you can't let it go, it's a deeper issue than just a disagreement. But if it's something that you can just like, okay, we disagree with that, let's move on and let's just move on for now. Or if you got to still come back to it, I guess it's still a deeper issue. But if you're like, okay, well, that's your opinion, move on. I believe you can do that with your disagreement. I mean, do you feel like you can just move on with a disagreement, or you got to always be holding on to it and take it deeper?
I think sometimes you need to go deeper because
I do agree with that, though.
because I'll speak for myself. It's easier just to say that's your opinion.
I agree with that, though.
And let it go because you can just argue until you literally walk away from a discussion because you're not getting anywhere.
Okay, I agree that sometimes you have to go deeper, but it sounds like I'm not getting through with sometimes it is just an opinion that you can let go.
You know,
But
sometimes
that's a
sometimes in a conversation, you know, one person has to be right, and the thing is, and one person has to be wrong.
mhm.
And I believe that nobody wants to be wrong, and so you're gonna have that the butting of heads together or opinions or um, whatever because nobody wants to be wrong, and I feel like
There's
just
that word.
throwing an opinion out there that's just saying fine. That's your opinion. I got more things to worry about than beat this thing down any more than I am.
Thanks, Mary. And let me just put her name. Thanks, Mary. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for letting us know about the sound. We are going to get this together. We're just trying to do the microphones. I'm missing all of your wisdoms. But I think it's doing the caption on the screen. So you have a good day. Thank you. Um, but today we're talking about disagreement. Let's disagree to agree that we disagree. And what I see with this whole topic and conversation is that, and as you brought out, there's two parts to this. Okay, so in the world we live in now, we see a lot of people disagreeing to the point where they are actually separating themselves from somebody else and dividing themselves as groups and canceling people, harassing people, hurting people, whatever. And so there's two parts to this. Okay, we don't agree, and so let's agree that we don't agree, even though, let's see, let's agree to disagree. However, if this disagreement is causing some animosity and hate and hurt and all that, and divide and separation from you and your family, friends, loved ones, whatever, then let's go deeper and find out what's at the root of this disagreement, as Elder has said, as Margaret said. Okay, what's at the root of this? Because if you can't let it go as just, well, we have a difference of opinion, then you need to go deeper. And yes, I agree. Who doesn't want to be right? Nobody wants to be wrong. The question is, how do you feel when someone disagrees with you? How do you feel when somebody disagrees with you? Let's be real. Let's be honest. Ask ourselves that question. How do you feel? I don't feel good.
I sure don't feel good.
It actually brings up feelings in me of, I don't want to say animosity, but that is happening today. I see it right as I watch certain things. Yes, on the different platforms. When somebody says something that you don't agree with, I see people, and I'm sure I probably see it in myself, or I do see it in myself, where my feelings go into effect. Like I go right into my feelings, and it's like, how dare you not agree with me? Because I know I'm right and you're wrong. That's basically what's kind of happening.
For me, it's like, so how does Mark feel when someone disagrees with Mark? And it doesn't feel good, because like when you talk to someone, when I'm talking to somebody about a certain situation, whether, you know, whatever it is, I believe I'm giving my honest answer to the question, and and they sometimes they're going to be like, well, that's your opinion, and I feel like that's where it just starts. That's where the number one, like that's where the thing starts, is because someone asks you, a question about something, and you give an honest answer to what the question is, but then they say, well, that's your opinion on that, and so therefore, I believe, and I guess I'm talking about myself. Then you say, well, they don't really believe what I'm saying, but they asked me a question about such a situation, and so I guess that's where I have to check myself and say, well, why don't what, and therefore that's why I feel you need to go deeper in that situation, and that's where I heard this thing the other day, like when someone asks you a question, you need to ask them a question back, like I can't think of a situation, but it's like, so why do you do what you do? And then you say, well, why do you do what you do? And then so somebody says, Mark, why do you mow the lawn the way that you do? And I say, well, George, why do you mow the lawn the way you do? And that starts a discussion why you do what you do the way you do it. But then instead of just saying, well, that's your opinion on the way you mow the lawn or the way you do something, and that's like made sense to me the other day when someone asks you a question about, hey, why do you do what you do? You say to them, why do you do what you do? And that opens up, I feel, the platform to even talk about what the discussion is, more than just saying, well, George, that's your opinion. Have a nice day.
I mean, I guess I want to hear from you. Are you wanting to just be focused on when there's disagreement, let's go farther and deeper, or do you have an opinion of, well, we can have differences of opinion and still move on?
Well,
I guess that needs to be a question, because maybe that's out there with other people too.
You're going to have difference of agreement.
Okay.
Like.
But are you?
Why do you wash your clothes? And that's just my opinion of why I do what I do, the way I wash my clothes.
And that's an example of you have an opinion. This is how I wash my clothes, and I have an opinion. This is how I wash my clothes.
Right.
So I guess that's a difference of opinion or a disagreement. As I wash my clothes like this, I wash my clothes like that. Right. It's not a big deal. It's not causing us to have a drag out fight and disagreement. And so you wash your clothes like this, I wash my clothes like that. Right. That could be. So so to you, that's an example of that's a matter of opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what I'm trying to get. And we want to clarify that a matter of opinion, disagreement in a matter of your opinion is that, well, I throw all my clothes in the washer together. And I'm not talking about him, because I know somebody that does that. They just do everything in there together. Matter of fact, our son did that. Threw everything in there together. And I don't agree with that. My opinion is I separate my clothes. But I remember my son just like throwing everything. I'm like, dude, like you don't throw everything together. I'm telling no, because there are some side effects to that, of some consequences. You throw the whites in with the darks, you're going to get your whites turning a different shade. But I do remember our son, Devin, just throwing everything in the wash together. And I disagree with that. And my opinion is that you separate, but his opinion was throw it in together. Did that stop us from our relationship being okay and having a healthy relationship, or did it divide and separate us to the point where we weren't talking? No. So that's where, you have that disagreement about something it's not a rooted thing. It's not like, oh my gosh, we can't ever, have a good relationship because you wash your clothes this way, I wash my clothes that way. And I'm using our son as an example. And so
I feel
that's okay.
So I feel like, but, we're talking about opinion, but let's kind of bring it back in and then look at what are we really talking about today? How do you feel when someone disagrees with you? And I think that's what we're trying to talk about. So
Right.
so realistically, we don't feel too good when someone disagrees with us.
Amen.
I can say this. Can you say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
So here we're sharing opinions and sharing stories, but I feel like we need to come back into the center, come back into the circle, and hit the heading. How do you feel when someone disagrees with you? And we're just sharing our lives. We don't feel too good when Mark dis- when Mark disagrees with Sylvia, or when Sylvia disagrees with Mark. So that's why it's open. That's why we're talking about
Putting
table
it on the
talk. Putting it on the table. How does feel when someone disagrees with how do you feel? So that's the question of the hour. How do you feel when someone disagrees with you? And we shared our thoughts, our opinions, our stories, our disagreements, our fights, etc. But how does that make you feel? And that's where I feel like, again, we need to bring it back to the center and ask that question.
And that is the question.
How do you feel when someone disagrees with you? Because I'm sorry to tell you, people are going to disagree with you.
It's
why
inevitable.
Why do you do what you do?
It's inevitable. We're gonna disagree, y'all. This is it. And this is, I keep going back to the culture that we're in today. When people disagree, they want to cancel, hurt each other, make people's lives miserable. And that is wrong to me on every level. And so I may say that's my opinion. But that, to me, that's just wrong. But we're going to disagree. It's inevitable. That means that it's going to happen. There's no way that we all are going to live in this world together and we're not going to have this agreement. Let's disagree. Let's agree to disagree. But when that disagreement, and this is the point that we want to make, is that when that disagreement causes separation, division, divide, I'm gonna hurt you. I hate you. I don't want to ever be around you. I hate your guts. I don't want to even see you. When that disagreement brings us to that place, that is a heart issue. Because this is what this is about. This is heart talk. We're putting it on the table. Heart talk. We all are going to have disagreement, but where does that disagreement take you? Does it take you to a place of, you know what? I'm not going to let that get into me, get into my heart. I'm not going to let that cause me to have hate for my sister, brother, husband, father, sister, daughter, son, cousin, niece, nephew, mother, father, friend, foe. I'm not going to let that cause me to have hate in my heart. Go to that place of having hate in my heart. Okay, so if you say that, it's just we disagree, we have differences of opinions. We're going to move on. But if you disagree and it does all that with you and whoever you're connected to and disagreeing with, if it causes all that hate, anger, animosity, I hate you, I'm going to cancel you, I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to make your life miserable, whatever it is, if it causes you to go to that place, then that's a heart issue. Because this is a heart talk. That's a heart issue. Then you need to, okay, then it's time, sorry about that, to go to God and say, you know what, God, I have this matter and issue in my heart with so and so, or them, those people, or whatever you might say, whoever that group of people might be, and say, I have this in my heart and I need to get it out of my heart. That's where this is really leading to and going to, right? Because we need to deal with the matters and the issues of our heart. How do you feel when someone disagrees with you? It's going to cause you to have some feelings, because we live many times by our emotions and our feelings, many times, and we want to protect our feelings. And so that's why we come back and we will go back and forth. Let's keep it real. And then we are all concerned about, okay, this is how this makes me feel. I get that. We get that. But when it's all said and done, what is that doing to you on how you feel?
So all I was going to say is I can't think of a story, So like when we talk about table talk, we're trying to share our stories about life, But unfortunately, I can't think of a story in the Bible where somebody disagreed.
I got a couple.
So why don't you share that?
So, Barnabas, is that how you say his name? And Paul, they disagreed. I don't have the story right in front of me. They disagreed on, I think Paul was mentoring Barnabas, and they had a disagreement, and they decided to depart. I think they agreed to disagree. Let me just say, Paul and Barnabas disagreement. And it said Barnabas agreed, but a conflict concerning John or Mark's participation in the journey resulted in a quarrel between him and Paul. And finally, this led to disagreement and a split in two different mission groups. So there's an example right there in the Bible.
So again, as we share our opinions and our thoughts, that's why this table talk. I'm just trying to add some stuff out of the Bible also, not just our life story. So that's why I want to do what I did.
And a little more, it says Paul and Barnabas were sent out from the same church ministry in Acts 13. They traveled, taught, and served God together. They were friends, and without a doubt, the Christian mentor relationship was mutually enjoyable for both. Barnabas was an outstanding model of a sponsor and Christian mentor to Paul. So that's their background story. But what was the disagreement? The incident at Antioch was an apostolic age dispute between the apostles Paul and Peter, which occurred in the city of Antioch around the middle of the first century. The primary source for the incident is Paul's epistle to the Galatians 2:11 through 14. So it didn't really explain it. Here's one. During an event called the Jerusalem Conference, Peter testified that God would save faithful Jews and Gentiles regardless of whether they had been circumcised. The apostles sent letters to church. It's still not giving me, but they had a disagreement, and so they ended up, in a sense, partying and going two different separate ways with two different groups because they were leading people. And so that's an example, yes, in the Bible where two people who love God had a disagreement. And so in us sharing and trying to explain it, did Paul and Barnabas ever deal with their heart issue concerning that disagreement? It doesn't really say, but they did, because people say we agree to disagree. So we're saying yes, elders saying get to the root. At times you need to get to the root. This example that we just even used in the Bible, did they even get to the root? Did they ever come back together and say, let's deal with this, Paul. Let's deal with this, Barnabas. Let's deal with this as friends, and let's squash this. Maybe in their heart they were okay. Maybe they weren't. We don't know. But we believe that God wanted to deal with this thing in our heart when we disagreed. And I was just recently watching on YouTube how which this, I don't even know if it goes along with this, but it keeps coming up, and in my mind and heart, that a 12-year-old was being bullied, a girl, by another 12-year-old, a guy, and she told the principal, and the guy got in trouble. The 12-year-old boy got in trouble, and then his 16-year-old brother got upset at her. Didn't agree with apparently her turning his brother in for bullying her. So he went and got a gun and came out in front of their house and just started shooting at her and her baby brother. And there was a 9-year-old brother in the yard, and the mama opened the door and she got shot. And the girl, 12-year-old, she got shot in the leg, but she covered the baby, and the 9-year-old didn't get shot. Okay, that is very extreme. That you ended up disagreeing. Yeah. You disagreed with her. Well, he disagreed with her turning in his brother as the bully.
Okay.
And that disagreement led him to go to hate and animosity to the point where he got a gun and he tried to kill her. That is very extreme. However, the point is, look at the world that we are living in today. That I don't agree with you turning my brother in. Yeah, it could be retaliation. That could have been back in any time where you could retaliate, but 9 times out of 10, back in the day, that wouldn't happen. Where he may have just like they may have like tried to beat her up or something like that. He's out to kill her and anybody that's in the yard because he don't agree with her turning his brother in, and his brother getting in trouble because she turned her brother in. Now that's kind of extreme, yes, but that is sad that disagreement comes to that point where you're gonna, as I said earlier, you're gonna hurt somebody. And then one more example in the Bible of disagreement. I remember I thought it was just like really, it blew me away. Two women in the Bible that were working together in ministry together, they had a disagreement. I think it's in Romans. And they had disagreement. And I believe Paul asked them, he said, for the sake of the gospel, could you please just agree and get along? And so, again, that's another example of two people in the Bible who were actually working together in ministry to, that's not one, let me just say it, that had a disagreement and they couldn't come to an agreement. And Paul asked them, just for the sake of the gospel, to please get along.
So I guess
Two women in the Bible
so
had a disagreement.
I guess I'll say, like, so how does someone feel when they disagree? So I think, I guess what's in my top of my head is like road rage, even, like someone disagreed with that person cutting them off, and that, and I feel like that's even a deeper issue. But yeah, so they disagreed with what that person did, but yet where does that turn into? It, unfortunately, it's turning people getting shot or follow them to the house and threaten them. So there, I'm just using another example of how did they feel when someone cut them off? They disagreed with that person or what they did. So they got angry, they got mad, they tailgated them, they threatened them, whatever. So here, that's even stepping out even further. But yeah, how did they feel when someone disagreed with them with what they did? They even, so there, I think that's even a heart issue even more. But again, there's situations just like Sylvia said about the being bullied, being picked on, which is, I feel like that's the right thing to do, to turn them in. But then, it's just, it's people are so maybe at the edge these days that they're just like, I don't care who you are or who, whatever, that you disagree with me. Well, fine. I don't like you. I disagree with you. I'm going to make your life a living
HE double hockey stick.
Yeah. Because you disagree with, you burnt me the wrong way. You disagreed with,
But what is the world? This is sadly, what are we coming to in this world where this is why we're talking about this today? Let's disagree, and let's disagree to agree that we don't agree. But what is happening in the hearts of us as a people, that when we disagree, I hate you, I want to hurt you, I want to cancel you, I want to make your life miserable. That's where we're going with this today. Like, this is like, wow, like, okay, you don't agree. Let's get to a place where when we don't agree with each other, don't allow it to go into your heart to the point where you want to hate somebody, you want to hurt them, you want to go get a gun. You're 16 years old and go get a gun and shoot up somebody or hurt somebody on the road. We know road rage has people that pull out guns and shot people and just kill people because you made me so angry. I disagree with you cutting me off. Yeah, stuff like that has been happening for years and years and years. But yet we're in this place where this disagreement thing, it's going too deep into the heart, and can we get to a place where it's like, okay, you know what? We don't agree on this, that. I don't agree with you cut me off. I don't agree with you liking this or liking that, or I like this and you like that. I don't, but you know what? We're gonna agree to disagree. We're gonna still love each other. Come on, this is a heart thing. We're gonna love each other. We still gonna say, okay, I love you, I don't hate you, or we're gonna deal with this in my heart. I'm not gonna come after you. Let's come on, let's keep it real, because this is what is happening is that people are to the point where people are being hurt. Mm-hmm. People's lives are being destroyed. It's just because you don't agree. And you think about Jesus. I mean, he truly was a rebel of his time, because when he came on the scene, look how many people disagree with him. And to the point where they plotted to kill him, and they did, even though it was something that was going to happen to him. Maybe they didn't have to be the ones to do it. However, to the point where, like, look how many people disagree with him, to the point where, they were really, really against him. And so we're sharing this, but yet if you look at that group of people that disagree with him, they took him out. They're like, okay, we disagree with you. We got to get rid of you. And that's what's happening today. Like, we got to get rid of you somehow. And that is wrong on every level. On every level. And then I just want to share real quick Philippians 4:22. No, Philippians 4:2-3. When the two women disagreed, it says, and this is Paul saying to these two women, I plead with Euodia, I think that's how you pronounce the name, and I plead with I can't pronounce that one, to be of the same mind. And it says, in the Lord, yes, I ask you, my true companion, help these women, since they have contended at my side in the case of the gospel, along with Clement and the rest of the co-workers whose names are in the book of life. I thought that I was going to read more words, but he says he pleaded with them to be of the same mind. He's talking about to agree. Okay, I know you guys are not agreeing, but I'm pleading with you to be of the same mind in the Lord. And so for those that are in the Lord, your faith is active in God, for those that are of the household of faith, if we are disagreeing, that is really, really sad. Because right here, he's pleading with these women. And yes, that's an example of people that are of the household of faith, that all believe in God and having a disagreement. But he's like, for the sake of the gospel, there's another translation says, for the sake of the gospel, agree. But we wanted to come and put that out there today as a heart talk. Put this on the table. How do you feel when somebody disagree with you? Because that means we really need to check ourselves. The Bible says, let a man examine himself. We need to check ourselves, whether it's my husband disagreeing with me, or my sister, my brother, my uncle, my cousin, my mother, my father, my niece, my nephew, my son, my daughter. When someone disagrees with me, how does it make me feel? And so, because it doesn't feel good, we both said that. Okay, so it doesn't feel good, but where does it take you? Does it take you to a place where your heart says, I hate him, I can't stand him, I want to hurt him, I want to cancel him, I don't like them, I don't want to be around with them? Or does your heart take you to a place? No, I don't agree with him, and we may never agree on this, or them, or she, or he, or whatever. However, I'm not going to let this get in my heart and take me to a place where our relationship is hurting. So that is what I believe that God had for us today to share with Heart Talk, and putting it on the table. Putting the things in our heart, the matters and the issues of our heart, on the table. And do you have anything else that you wanted to share?
So, again, how do you feel when someone disagrees with you? I think we covered it. We don't feel that good, but I feel that's where a conversation comes in, and you get to truly know that other person and why they feel the way that they feel. So I think that's how friends grow stronger in a relationship, or a husband and wife, or coworker, whatever it is. how do you feel when someone disagrees with you? So that's what I have to add right there. Someone is going to disagree with you on what you're talking about. So again, it's a deeper issue. If you know, if you can't let it go, um, you know, but that's where it's always good to talk about it and get it out in the open, because you should never bury that inside, because it's not going to produce fruit. It's going to produce probably life, or probably death, not life. You know, because it's going to eat at you. It's going to bother you. Like, oh, I can't believe that person disagreed with me. You know, I shared my heart with that person on that situation, and they disagree with me. You know, so that's why I think it's important to talk about the situation, and so if it is to agree to disagree, you know, that's what it is. To So that's where I guess I'll leave with that. Is it's important to talk about the disagreement and why they disagree about that, without um, just walking away from the situation. You know, you have. I think you have to. I feel you have to get to, um, you know, the end of what you guys are talking. What you're disagreeing. What you're disagreeing with. You know, that's my thought. Okay, my opinion, I guess. So I'm gonna say that you can disagree with what I said, um, but I feel that, you know, you have a disagreement with that person. You need to talk it over and find out what is going on, because I feel that's an issue. Why you? Well, I shouldn't say that. You know, you're gonna agree to disagree, but if it keeps going, if you walk away from that situation and you say, hey, well, you know, Bob, what did you mean by that? Then you feel good, because you're able to talk about it. But when it festers and you don't come to the end of it, I feel people walk away and they're bothered because that person disagreed with them. So, you know,
Yeah, I think it's
I think it's a strong
it's a
subject
hard
in my
thing.
life, because I probably deal with it, and so I think it's important. I feel we need to talk about why you disagree, just to get, you know, even to say, okay, that's why you disagree with that. Fine. Thank you for your conversation. Thank you for your time. And you go away peacefully, not, well, I just can't believe that person, you know.
Right. And so as we wrap this up, again, this is Pastor Sylvia and Elder Mark, Pastor Sylvia, New Breed Fellowship. We've been talking about today, let's disagree. And really, how do you feel when people disagree with you? And thank you, Marcus, for joining us. He said it festers, and he said it's a very good lesson. And then he said, the Bible says if we have aught against that,
Yeah.
I came across that verse
Yeah.
too. Thank you, Marcus. Aught against our brothers and sisters, we should supposed to go to them.
Yeah.
Yes, and so if you have a disagreement,
Mhm.
you know, whether it's just disagreeing on something that's, you know, that is very, what you might call small and insignificant, or something that is getting into your heart, where you have aught against somebody and you hate them and you want to hurt them, then that's a heart thing.
Mhm.
And this is heart talk. And we need to put it out there and deal with it. And that's what that saying, Marcus, thank you for sharing that. That, you know what, if it's a hard thing, it's time to go and deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, and not let it just keep staying there and festering and causing you and that person to have your relationship go sour.
Mhm.
And so we thank you for joining us. Thank you, Marcus, for joining us. We appreciate you joining in the conversation. That's what we wanted people to do with this today. We had Mary earlier and Marcus now. After the broadcast, if you want to join in still and add some comments, that's great. And we are on YouTube. We have a New Breed channel on YouTube. Go and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We know we do stream to Facebook on a couple pages, mine and I believe Latoya's and sometimes Mark's. But we want you to be encouraged and get something to help you. And we just thank you for watching us. We appreciate any support. We do have a Cash App that's going across the screen there. New Breed Fellowship New York. We have our little graphic up there if that works. But we would appreciate your support. We're hoping at some point to be able to expand and not be in this location, or if God just wants us on the live, that's what we'll be in this building that we're in right now. And thank you. We love you too, Marcus. Thank you for joining us, everybody. And until next time, we want you to live well, take care of yourself, and God bless. Enjoy your Sunday. Fall by the wayside. When they try to test your faith. Hey, Lord. What you gonna do when your back's against the wall? How you gonna respond when it seems the hope is lost? Gonna do when you need a little more grace. Fall by the wayside. How you gonna respond when they try to test your faith? Hey, Lord. What you gonna do when your back's against the wall? Seems the hope is lost. Tell me what you're gonna do when you need a little more grace. Fall by the wayside. How you gonna respond when they try to test your faith? Hey, Lord. Against the wall. How you gonna respond when it seems the hope is lost? Tell me what you're gonna do when you need a little more grace. Fall by the wayside. How you gonna respond when they try to test your faith? Hey, Lord. Against the wall. How you gonna respond when it seems the hope is lost? Tell me what you're gonna do when you need a little more grace. Fall by the wayside. How you gonna respond when they try to test your faith? Hey, Lord. Against the wall. How you gonna respond when it seems the hope is lost? Tell me what you're gonna do when you need a little more grace. Fall by the wayside. How you gonna respond when they try to test your faith? Hey, Lord. Against the wall. How you gonna respond when it seems